Hey guys, welcome back to Homestead Prepping and Survival. So, I mentioned in another video that I was going to make this one as far as building a prepper group. So, I've said it many times, thousands of others have said it, lone wolves will not survive. So, I did a video about that a few days back. Lone wolves don't have a chance. I'm sorry. It's extremely rare if someone can survive being a lone wolf. It's just humans are people that need to be around other people. We don't do well by ourselves. Plus, the old saying, many hands makes light work. So today I want to talk about building your prepper group. The last video I did was how to begin prepping and how to get started. So this one needs to be about how to build a prepper group. So like I said in the other video, optimally, if you could find like-minded people that are already preppers, that have already been prepping and have a good group going and you can learn from and work with, then that would be the best case scenario. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that don't want others in their group. It's a close-knit, tight group, and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name the jobs for an extended crap hit the fan scenario. So let's say that an EMP's been deployed, the United States, half of Canada, half of Mexico, all of that is without nationwide power. There's going to be small little spots here and there. People are going to have generators that will work for a little while. But as a whole, let's go with this conversation that there is no national power and everything is shut down. Semis aren't running. All the vehicles with computers, most of them aren't running. So extended period of time. We're talking about 6 months minimum up to 10 years or longer before things get back to what we call normal now. So if you're going to survive that length of time, first of all, there's going to be a lot of babies born. That's why they had the baby boom after the Great Depression, because people were at home more and therefore more babies got created. And then you had to deal with that afterwards. So you need that in your prep supplies. You need ways to take care of babies when crap hits the fan. But also you need ways to prevent that from happening. So, those of you that aren't stockpiling forms of birth control, you need to do that, because you're not going to stop two 15-year-olds or 16-year-olds or 17-year-olds or 20-year-olds or even 30-year-olds from going out there and doing things when you're not looking, and you're not going to be able to watch everything they do. So it's going to happen. So with that being said, yep, a lot of you are embarrassed to go through that line at Walmart or wherever and buy birth control, and I mean by control as in condoms and things, contraceptives and that kind of stuff. But it needs to happen. You need to get that stuff stockpiled. So, feminine hygiene products, what you gonna do? You ladies, you know you don't want to go without it. And it's relatively inexpensive. It's easy to get, and you need to be stockpiling that stuff. So let's get into the jobs of a good prepper community. And forgive me if I forget something or a job or someone, but I ain't perfect. I'm just telling you what I know you're going to need for an extended crap hit the fan. So before I get into the list, I know I'm at the 4.5 minute mark. If I haven't already lost you, please hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up if you will, and share the channel when you can, please. It helps me grow the channel tremendously, and I do appreciate it, each and every one of you. If I can help you, send me an email. I'll be glad to do anything I can for you. So let's get into the list. So jobs for a prepper community. This is by no means a complete list, but let's start. What are you going to do with the small children? Toddlers and infants and all of that. What are you going to do with them if you have to get out there and help take care of the community? You need daycare workers. You need people that's going to take care of those children. So that kind of goes without saying, right? Somebody's got to watch the kids. Somebody's got to bathe them. Somebody's got to feed them. Somebody's got to clothe them. All that stuff. You need daycare workers. All right? And then what about the kids that are old enough to go to school? Who's going to teach them? So you need school teachers. And so what I do is if I'm at a yard sale, which I rarely get to go anymore, or Goodwill store or flea market, whatever, if I see books, I don't care if it's a school book, okay? Books can help teach kids how to read and spell and write. So buy books. You can get them really, really cheap at those places, and I store them up on the shelf up there. Yes, they take up a little bit of space, not a lot, but you can teach 100 kids out of one math book. So start stockpiling things to help teach the kids that are going to need to be taught. And remember, someone's got to teach them. Okay? So you need school teachers. All right, and then this is in no certain list, so I'm going to just keep going down. What about farmers? Okay, you know, yeah, the little survival garden you got planted is all great and dandy, but if you're only feeding one or two. But if you've got to feed a group, you need a much larger garden on a much larger scale. You need people that can get out there and work that garden and know how to get the most product for the least amount of effort. So you need farmers. And that farming also, not just vegetables, but what about livestock? You're going to need cows and goats and horses and you know, that stuff. You need people that can do those jobs. And, you know, a good, well-rounded individual, us old country boys, we know how to do a lot of this stuff. But you can't do it all by yourself. So you need other people to do that. So farmers for livestock and for vegetables is going to be extremely important. All right. Did I write down? I just had another one pop in my head, and doggone it, I sure forgot it. So I'll cover it now. Medical. You need people that know basic medical to help those people with minor injuries and things like that. But it would also be fantastic if you could find a good emergency room nurse or a good doctor that wanted to be part of your prepper group. They are out there. They're hard to find, but they are out there. One of my best friends was a pharmacist. He knew all about what medicines to use for what and all that. Pharmacists have to know that stuff. He died a few years ago, and I miss him tremendously, but he was an asset to my group, and I've got a few others in that group that can help fill that spot, but not completely fill his shoes. And I'm telling you, that's going to be a weakness. You're going to need people that know how to take care of people that are sick and injured. So medical is a big area that you need to get filled. So, and then next note I put down was maintenance. And the reason I put maintenance down is because if you're fortunate enough, excuse me, to have equipment that still runs, or if you have some that you could work on to get to running, you need people that know how to do that. So, sure, you know, the average country boy, as I say, can get out there and change the battery and tune up and all of that. But, I mean, when it gets down to the serious work of an engine and things, you need people that are skilled in that area. Mechanics are going to be valuable as far as all-around general mechanics. So, I've got a 1953 Harry Ferguson tractor. You know, several of the guys in my group are much better at working on those things than I am. But they're very simple. It'll probably be running when I'm dead and gone as far as the ability of it to run. So you need people to perform maintenance, but not just your tractor, not just your tiller, not just a vehicle that you might be able to get going, but what about power production? You know, I put that down on the list, but someone needs to understand how you produce power, like me with solar panel, and how you take that solar energy and turn it into electricity that you can use to run things. So you need someone that can cover that field. And when I'm done with this, remember, one person doing a job, remember the rule, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So if you've got someone that knows how to do this field, that person needs to be teaching someone else, and they need an assistant. And that assistant needs to be teaching someone else, because what if this person gets hurt, gets sick, dies, whatever? Okay, you need to be able to fill those positions. So maintenance all around, equipment and power production, all that stuff is going to have to be a role that needs to be filled. So what about cooking? If you've got a group of 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 people, some more than that, I'm sure, who's cooking for these people? Because if it's a husband and wife team, even with or without children, and you think, well, the wife does most of the cooking now, she'll cook then. But she's not having to grow the food most of the time. She's not having to raise the livestock and slaughter it and butcher it. And, one person's not going to do it. That's why you need a group. So you need someone that can handle cooking for your group. And that's not going to be a one-person deal. Again, every one of these positions need an assistant, and those assistants need workers. So all of them are going to work, but you don't need one person that knows it all. Okay? So food preservation. How many of you out there know how to can food with a pressure canner or in the water bath method? Or if you've got a freeze dryer, how to do it, all of that good stuff. That takes a lot of power, by the way. But food preservation, including curing meats so that you can store it for longer times. Who do you have that knows how to do that? If you don't have anybody, how are you going to store the meat from that deer or from that pig or from that cow or goat or whatever? How are you going to store it? You need to learn how to preserve that, and you need people in charge of that where it's getting done right. Your people will need that food. So the next thing that come to mind after that for me would be hunters and fishermen. I can hunt, I can fish. My daughters will tell you, people go fishing with me, and I know they're exaggerating a little bit, but they go, we go fishing, Daddy goes catching. All right, but it depends on what I'm fishing for. Okay, yeah, I'm a fisherman, but am I going to be the only one that goes out there and catching fish for 65 people? I don't think so, Timmy. You need people that can hunt and fish. And hunting is going to be vital, but it's going to get harder and harder and harder the more scarce the animals become, the deeper into the woods those animals are pushed from being hunted to near extinction. Because everybody out there with a firearm thinks, I'll just go shoot the first thing that runs through the woods. Okay? So you need people that can really hunt, that are good at it, and fishermen that are good at it, that can produce calories for your group. So the next thing I put on here is security. So security is a huge topic. I could probably do a video about that all by itself. I've only got a few more topics, so I'm going to try to make it into this video. But security is huge. And I've told y'all in former videos, my group, where I'm at, I'm the bug out location. I know how many people it takes to keep watch, to look for problems coming. I need 3 people, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just to make sure that we're not taken by surprise. So with that being said, I've got camera system, so you could put 2 people outside during the day because you're going to see them coming a lot further off, and 1 inside on cameras. Or you could put 3 people outside all the time, and every one of those security people need to have the equipment they need to succeed, which means they need communication. If you've got, like on my little piece of property, if I've got a guy up front on this end, and then another guy up on that end, and then someone at the back. In the back, there's no access to my property. Well, technically there is, but you're going to work to get there. So I really only need one back there, but they need radios so they can communicate back and forth. And then the team leaders throughout the group also need radios so that, hey, there's a mob coming down the road and they're headed straight for us. You need more than 3 people to make sure that mob doesn't hurt your group. So you need communication, you need weapons, you need all of that stuff taken care of with security. Find you a good person to handle that security supervisor position with at least one assistant and many workers. All right, and then the next thing I put on there is scavengers. A lot of people say, I'm not scavenging nothing. That's why I prep. That's not true, y'all. There's something you're going to need, or someone in your group's going to need, and you need to get people out there to try to find it, and they need to be safe and discreet about it. So you're going to need scavengers to get out there and get resources for you and your group. It's going to be a big deal. All right, and then what about inventory control? All right, so who's going to monitor the food and how fast you're consuming what resources you have? Who's going to make sure that what you have will last you until you can get a resupply? Who's going to make sure that you're not just out there wasting all your ammo on training and you actually have ammo when you need it for defense? Who's going to make sure that you're not just out there running a generator when you don't need to, wasting fuel, when you need to make sure you've got some for later? And same way with water. Water, I told y'all, is the second rule of 3. You can't live but 3 days without it. So who's going to monitor the fresh water that you have for your group? You need someone that's in control of inventory. Now, with that being said, the way my group is set up, and I've touched on a little bit while I've been talking, is the oldest 3 people in our group are the leaders of the group. A lot of people have said to me over the years that I'm the leader of this group, of the homestead here where I live and where people plan on bugging out to. And to an extent, that is correct. It is my property. It is mine. I started the group. I did all that. But I'm not the boss. I don't want to be the boss of 65, 70 people. You need people that are going to be leadership for the entire group. So in my group, we actually said 7, but you need a minimum of 3 people that are going to be the leaders of the group. It always needs to be an odd number. Now, my personal opinion, it's my property, my house. I'm telling you, I'm going to be one of those 3, but it's not a problem because I am one of the 3 oldest. So me and the next 2 oldest people in the group would be leaders, and one person is not going to authorize something. You've got to have a majority vote. So think about that. No one person's in charge, but each area of job that we've talked about, daycares, teachers, farmers, maintenance, cooks, food preservation, hunters, fishermen, security, scavengers, inventory control, power production, excuse me. Ain't but so long old country boy can go without some Louisiana tea. Sorry. So, each area has a supervisor that is over that area. And that supervisor reports to the team council, the group council, the elders that are running the group. And I like the idea of being the elders just for the simple fact that usually they've seen a lot more than the youngers have. Okay? It's not necessarily always the case, but as a general rule, the elders have the most experience and know what'll pass and what needs to be addressed. So each area has a supervisor. Each supervisor has at least one assistant. If some jobs would have 2 or 3 assistants. but at least one assistant, and everybody's responsible for training their replacement. Because remember, none of us are irreplaceable. You build a group, you didn't build a person. Okay, God made the person. We need to build the group. So, and each supervisor and their assistants are responsible for finding people to work in those fields. Now, some fields, like in my group, security is a requirement for people old enough to handle firearms and things like that for so many hours a week. The more people you have, the less hours everybody's required to do it, but everybody's basically required to do it. So you need to plan for that. But anyway, guys, I do appreciate it. I know the video ran a little bit long. We're right at 21 minutes. But I do appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for hitting that like button, please. Thank you for sharing the channel when you can. And thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We are relatively new. I am relatively new on YouTube, and I'm trying to grow this channel to where we can help as many people as possible. So it doesn't cost you anything. It's absolutely free. Just hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you know when I put out a new video, which currently is, I put a new video out every Monday and every Thursday morning. And I've really been thinking lately about changing that. Maybe just put the video out when I feel like I need a new video out instead of waiting on that time frame. But I may go a couple of weeks and not really have something that I want to say. And then I may go, like this week, I've made 3 videos this week. Actually 4 videos this week. So, and I don't know, maybe I'll make another 1 or 2 before the week's up. But next week I may be so focused on work and chores around the house, I may not get another one done. So, I don't know. But at least for right now, I'll put one out on Monday morning and Thursday morning. And I appreciate you guys hitting that subscribe button and sharing the videos when you can and smashing that like button, as Dutch says, from Keeping It Dutch. If there's anything I can do for you guys, if there's content that you want to see or hear about, please send me an email. It's under the About Me section on the page. My email is there. Send it to me. I will respond to everyone that I can. And, you know, we'll try to grow the channel together. I'm not a know-it-all. If you can teach me, please teach me. Otherwise, I'll help you what I know. And I thank y'all once again. Remember the 2 things I always tell you. It's more important than anything else. The first thing I say, Jesus Christ loves you. And so do I. Y'all be safe. Be prepared.